It don't matter, but we're actually recording now.
Okay,
we're recording. Cool. Okay.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
Let's do a little thing.
What thing?
Plug the phone number. Nice and early.
Phone number. Wow.
Yeah. What's the phone number, Matt? Lay it on him.
The phone number is 978-665-4848. That's 978-665-4848. It worked. We actually did something pseudo-correct.
We did it.
What else is new on this show? But you know what isn't new?
Marvel.
Scoobtober.
Oh, well, yeah, that too.
And you know what we're starting Scoobtober on tonight? Not a good one. The sequel to one of the worst Scooby-Doo movies, Scooby-Doo and WWE, Curse of the Speed Demon. Following the events of the previous film where the gang helped solve the mystery of the Scare Bear.
This movie, I guess you could say, needs to make a speedy retreat.
You're darn right, Matt. Because the gang,
watched.
as a thanks, were invited by Mr. McMahon to WWE's new sports venture, Moto X Off-Road Racing. Specifically with monster trucks.
This sounds like a lead-up for a really bad Monster Energy video game.
And Scooby and Shaggy get to meet one of their favorite wrestlers of all time, The Undertaker. And in the process, end up becoming his driving buddies because the speed demon of the Devil Mountain or wherever they're racing be destroying all the racers' cars.
Right around
and
Dead Man's
Undertaker
Men.
and Dusty Rhodes ain't having that. So Undertaker's like, all right, boys, you're mine. And then they kind of become his personal assistants, which was really depressing. Many other wrestlers are in the film that I couldn't even tell you the name of if I tried. The only two I remember are Stephanie McMahon and Triple H, because that's important for the plot, surprisingly enough.
Somehow.
So basically the film is the gang participates in all the races while simultaneously solving the mystery of the speed demon who is haunting the racing roads, as it were. Along the way, Kofi Kingston rides on drones. The Hulk Hogan wasn't in the movie because he had a whole scandal with saying a very naughty word.
Yeah, that was probably my biggest question when I saw it was, where is Hulk Hogan?
He was supposed to be in the place of The Undertaker, but then he said a very naughty word in public. And Hanna-Barbera's like, no, give us The Undertaker. And that's what they did.
Okay.
Yeah. So the gang solved the mystery. Turns out it was Stephanie McMahon and Triple H all along. Wow. They did it because Stephanie was mad at her daddy for not giving her a racing spot. Wow. Cool. Good writing, everybody. Can you tell Vince McMahon wrote this movie? Because that's how he does his job, right? This movie sucks. I think it is better than the last one, though. Which is in the sense that it has more of a plot, and one of the wrestlers was actually the bad guy, which is way more interesting, by the way. I think the first one is a little more fun, only because I watched it with friends and realized, oh, okay, if you watch this in a group, it ain't as bad. Second one, pretty bad in general, but singularly as a Scooby-Doo fan, I find it better and more appealing. But that is just me speaking.
So what would you give it as a fat rating?
Yes, you can tell we don't care about this because we reviewed it in less than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That's how you know we...
We're going to power through these. We'll be out of here by 8 o'clock.
Oh, yeah. Some of the ones we're reviewing tonight are pretty dang bad.
They're pretty bad, but the last one is one I'm looking forward to.
Oh, yeah. The last one, which we'll get to later, is pretty special.
It's almost like you could say we're returning to it later.
Oh, yeah. So I would give Scooby-Doo and WWE, The Curse of the Speed Demon, a solid 4 out of 10 Scooby Snacks.
I got to give it a 3.
3.5. 3.5. That's all we got to give it.
Yep.
All right. Moving on to some actual news. I know. We're moving
Real
on.
news.
Real news.
This is no longer a side reel. This is the main reel. That's what we should call the segment.
The main reel?
The main reel.
Maybe when we leave Scoobtober?
Maybe? I don't know.
All right. Drama is kicking up at Marvel as Kevin Feige begins his whole synchronizing of the film side and television side.
When isn't there drama at Marvel?
Specifically, Jeff Loeb will officially be leaving Marvel Television as its head and creative chief. He is most well known for creating the Netflix shows, which, all right, good on him. Kind of failed with Iron Fist and Defenders, but that's fine.
Hey, man, 3 out of 5.
Then he ruined the Inhumans because he brought on the showrunner of Iron Fist, even though he did a terrible job. He's like, oh, you can do another show for us, and then did an even worse job with that one.
Which is surprising because I didn't think he could do worse.
No, I hate Scott Buck.
Yeah.
He's also the reason Dexter went bad.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yes.
I watch that show religiously.
I know. You like it. You don't shut up about it.
It's good.
Do it. On top of that, he is responsible for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Agent Carter, both very good shows. Probably his crowning achievements, TBH. He's leaving because it is very well known that he does not get along with Kevin Feige, nor do he and many of his other cohorts at Marvel Television get along with Kevin Feige. They sort of separated themselves at a certain point and no longer wanted to work with him.
He's a very difficult person to get along with.
No, not really. He's a pretty nice guy.
I know, that's the point.
It's just that they kind of didn't really want to follow his guidelines and wanted to do their own thing. And Jeff Loeb was doing pretty good about it, but then a lot of naughty producers that Kevin Feige fired because they were trying to undermine him and ruin Marvel's future, so they went straight to the television side because Jeff Loeb was like, oh, I don't know why he fired you, so let me hire you back. And then they kind of got into his head, and that's when things got a little out of control. So because of that, Kevin Feige has now canceled the Ghost Rider show. It is basically confirmed that he was the one that canceled it, and the reason is because he'll most likely be making a Ghost Rider show of his own or his own movie. Of course, rumor has it that they have not decided which Ghost Rider they're going to use, whether it be Johnny Blaze, Danny Ketch, or the most current one, Robbie Reyes. But rumor has it they're going to make it a female Ghost Rider based off a one-time character in the comics from the special 2011 event Fear Itself, where some random girl in Nicaragua became a Ghost Rider for like a night. And I'm like...
It's like Cinderella, but a little dark.
Don't give her a show. She's not even a Ghost Rider anymore. She was a Ghost Rider for like 2 or 3 issues, and that was it. And she was not a major character. So that would just be stupid, and it would be very, very woke in PC of Marvel, and I think they need to be very wary of how they treat certain characters because nobody will like that about Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider is one of 3 people, and you stick to those 3 people. Plus, it doesn't make sense. Like, Robbie Reyes is a Mexican Ghost Rider who brought a whole bunch of issues to the LA issue, a whole bunch of attention to the issues that Mexicans and other Hispanic people go through in LA, which is how he ended up getting murdered and dying in street races and ended up becoming the new Ghost Rider to get revenge on those people. So, hopefully Marvel will understand that it is okay to have a man of color be Ghost Rider, but you don't have to make it a woman. Just saying. Doesn't need to be that way.
We have to meet our diversity quotas, Matt.
You know, we'll see what happens because I hope they're very careful because they've been getting very woke and PC with a lot of their films lately, and I'm scared Marvel's turning into a lot of what Hollywood is now where they sell their films by saying they have diversity, so they gender swap and race swap certain characters, which is completely fine. It's just Hollywood is doing it because that's what's hot right now. So it's
women.
It's at a point where like characters in Hollywood and actors and actresses of color are getting chosen because of their color, not because of their skills. And that in of itself is worse because that isn't still supporting systemic racism. It's still supporting the idea that your color is going to sell our film, which is absolutely disgusting.
Wow.
And if Marvel goes that way, I'm going to be very, very angry. So here's hoping they don't.
You know, it's sad because it still works, and that's why people do it.
Oh, yeah. It's selling money like crazy. Like, it doesn't even matter. Like, female empowerment, beyond important. And, you know, examining racial issues in Hollywood and America, beyond important. And there are films that do it superbly well. And I think the next one that is upcoming is Queen and Slim, starring Daniel Kaluuya. And I forget the actress's name, but it's her first major film. And that just looks downright amazing and beautiful and gorgeous. And balls to the wall, purposefully well done and made by people who are examining a certain issue in America involving black people. And it's looking like it's going to do a great job of exposing it compared to many other films that just don't.
Mind you, though, that's the exception, not the rule.
Oh, yeah. So hopefully Hollywood will understand someday that you shouldn't be casting people based off the color of their skin. You should be casting them based off their acting ability, because that's what they are.
It's almost like that's why you cast people.
Yes. This is true. True. All right. We have 19 songs to play tonight before Scoobtober ends, and every single one of these songs have been featured in episodes of What's New Scooby-Doo. So let's start it out.
Let's start them off
with a loud one.
Oh boy.
I hope y'all are ready.
Blow out those speakers.
If there's a lot of what to do mean anything to me. You don't mean anything to me. You don't mean anything to me. You're what I never wanna be. You don't mean anything to me. You're what I never wanna be. Remember times I had, some were happy, some were sad. Memories me in the park is a crime, throwing up 1,000 times. I got through it, I feel fine. I went to school and did my time. In a sense I'm out, in a sense I'm free to do what I wanna be. Fun was cartoon Saturdays, fun was saying a passage. Blame was trying to fit in, blame was the wrong crowd, let me in. I got through it, I feel fine. I went to school, did my time. In a sense I'm out, in a sense I'm free to do what I wanna be. Yeah, gotta stick together with who you are and who you know. Gotta remember where you've been and where you wanna go. I never did homework after school. Done all the things I thought were cool. Went out every Friday night. I still do, and I'm alright.
Well, you can play my game if you just tell me your name. Well, you can play my game, but I'll put you to shame. I almost broke my highest score when you walked through that door. I lost my game and you're to blame. I could have been in the Hall of Fame. Well, you can play my game if you just tell me your name. Well, you can play my game, but I'll put you to shame. Well, you can play my game if you just tell me your name. Well, you can play my game, but I'll put you to shame. Let's play ball, we don't need a court. Just you and me, baby, full contact sport. And there's no ref to tell us to stop, so we can play until we drop. Well, you can play my game if you just tell me your name. Well, you can play my game, but I'll put you to shame. Well, you can play my game if you just tell me your name. Well, you can play my game, but I'll put you to shame. Well, you can play my game. Hey! Well, you can play my game. Hey! 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 I'll let you flip my flipper if you let me unzip your zipper. Come on, let's put 10 more rounds. I wanna take you out of bounds.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
That was a good PSA, Matt. Good PSA.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you.
It's my radio voice.
What?
It's my radio voice.
Since when do you have a radio voice?
I don't know. I've just been told I have one.
Do we have radio voices?
I don't know.
Do we have voices?
I've been told I speak with clarity.
You speak with something, all right. I don't know if clarity is the word I would use, per se.
The word you want to use can't be said on air.
Darn right. Moving on. Time for our next review. Scooby-Doo, Shaggy's Showdown. In this film, they go to the wild, wild west where they are invited by Shaggy's long-lost cousin, Tawny Rogers. And she's like, welcome to the town. The townspeople hate you, Shaggy, because you look like the ghost that's haunting the town. Shaggy's
what a coincidence.
like, what? What do you mean ghost that's haunting the town? And she's like, well, this ghost's name is Dapper Jack. He's your ancestor. He's your grandpappy. And
Shaggy has a lot of ghosts in the family.
Shockingly enough, yeah. And he robbed the town crazy, and he shot up people. And, yeah, he's a bad guy. He haunts the town. I'm losing my ranch to the big business.
Not the ranch.
Because he's haunting me. And Shaggy's like, I'll take the case, like Harvey Birdman, attorney at law. And so the gang discover along the way that the ghost of Baggy Rogers, Tawny Rogers, Shaggy Rogers, Scooby Rogers,
Daggy Rogers,
Danganronpa Rogers.
Dangan Rogers.
Yeah, something like that. The ghost has been terrorizing the town and stealing money and all that, and he's specifically been targeting the inn, ranch, hotel thing that Shaggy's cousin runs.
Saloon.
They eventually stop him, and they tie him up and rustle him up, and turns out Shaggy's a pretty good cowboy because he can lasso the guy. They lasso him up, and it turns out it's Tawny's farmhand, Kyle. Kyle did it because he wanted the money, but he was also secretly working for a big business that wanted to buy the ranch. And then they discovered the long-lost secret of the town. It turns out that Dapper Jack was actually a nice guy. He did good things, but the sheriff was the one that killed people and robbed banks, and they were on to him. So he set up Dapper Jack and murdered him, and he was a hero, hailed as a hero. And now that the town knows the true story, the sheriff's descendants are outed and kicked out of their homes because they're bad guys now. And the Rogers family name is reestablished in the wild, wild west. Cool. They did it. Hooray. Doblessimo. They did it. They solved the mystery. This movie's all right. Cool that they established some Shaggy connections, I guess, to the story. The Wild West setting was kind of dumb. There was a kid in there named, like, Buddy G or something.
I forgot about him.
He's like a YouTube sensation. And like, for some reason, Velma was crazy about him, and I'm like, stop. This is meant for kids in 2017, and I can't. Whoever's writing, basically from, like, the majority of the Scooby-Doo films that we reviewed last week and the ones we're reviewing this week, the writers on them are just terrible. Like, even the decent ones have bad writing, and whoever's writing them, like, do not care about this property. They care about what weird nostalgia and weird memes they have of Scooby-Doo, and they mesh them together to make these movies. And frankly put, that kid ruins this whole movie. The only cool thing is that he's voiced by Max Charles, a child actor who is most famous for playing Peter Parker's younger self in the Amazing Spider-Man films. That's literally all else he is known for.
Maybe if they actually went and hired a young writer instead of some dude in his, like, 40s and 50s.
Wait, are you saying they should hire me to write a Scooby-Doo movie?
Yeah, Matt, I want you to go start writing all the Scooby-Doo stuff. Like, just drop out of college and go work.
Oh, yeah, I'll do it. I'll write first I'll make a Speed Buggy movie to establish that I can make anything good.
You gotta make the B movie too.
Then I'll do Jabberjaws, and then I'll do Scooby-Doo. but I'll do it my way. And then I'll make a Scooby Apocalypse show on Adult Swim, and it'll be rated TV-14 because it's a good comic and people die. Yeah.
Amazing.
Glad you agree with me on that. Shaggy Showdown at the end of the day could have been better. It was pretty lackluster and pretty poorly written. Very bad side characters that added nothing to the film, in my opinion, compared to other films in the franchise. And personally, I can live without this one. I give it a solid 2 out of 10 Scooby Snacks, simply based off the fact that Buddy G is in it, and it is so lackluster, in my opinion.
Buddy G ruined the movie so bad for me, I'm giving it a 0 to bring it down to a 1.
That's fair. Honestly, the only reason I'm giving it a 2 is because Shaggy's a cowboy in it. And they relate the story to Shaggy, which I'm cool with.
That's why I'm giving it a 1. It's because Shaggy was a cowboy.
Heck yeah.
I'm a cowboy.
I'm going to
take if I say that, we're gonna get sniped. Copyright
down
sniped.
road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more. I got my Scooby Snacks in the back. My Shaggy's on the track. Fred is snorting coke. Daphne smoking dope.
Oh.
That devolved very quickly.
Commercial break.
No, not. We're almost there. We got some news, though. Matt, we were talking about this a couple weeks ago, actually, if you can believe it.
Has it really been that long?
I know. We were talking about this either last week or the week before, but we were talking about a movie that you said was officially in development, and I'm like, no, it isn't, Matt. But it actually, this past week, was finally announced to be in development by Disney themselves.
I told you. I know all.
Hocus Pocus 2 has officially been announced after years of rumors and speculation and writers saying that they worked on the film, but only for a short time, only until they were fired and kicked off and given a minimal supplement in pay because they were told they would have a contract and then they didn't. It's crazy.
See, fellow listeners, Matt over here didn't believe in me.
Know.
The Lord, that Hocus Pocus 2 would finally become a thing. My mom is thrilled. She actually, speaking of which, I'm sidetracked for you for a second on Sidereels. She finally saw the trailer for, what's that Stephen King movie coming out?
Oh, Dr. Sleep. That looks really, really good.
Yeah, she didn't believe me that there was a sequel coming out, like, that involved The Shining, because The Shining is one of her favorite horror movies of all time. And she finally got around to seeing the trailer for Dr. Sleep. And she tagged me in it this morning. She's like, you were right. I'm like, I know.
Dr. Sleep looks so good.
It does.
Because it's by Mike Flanagan, who is a really expertly craftful horror filmmaker nowadays. I mean, he did Ouija 2 because the first one's garbage, but then he made the second one, and that one was actually really good.
Ouija 2 was funny.
He also did Oculus. He created The Haunting on Hill House.
I thought Oculus was good.
I haven't seen it yet.
Despite what people say about it.
A lot of his movies are like, they get good reviews, and then the audiences are like, okay, I liked it. And the other half is like, I hated it. But Haunting of Hill House is probably his first consistently rated one. He also made Gerald's Game. Gerald's Game was really good.
That was a good one. Is that the one with the woman on the bed?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Interesting fact, though, he also directs, writes, and edits every single one of his films. But Dr. Sleep is basically the biggest film he's made to date. And he actually recreated the lodge from The Shining using Stanley Kubrick's original blueprints for the building. So that's cool. And on top of that, it's already getting really good reviews. So good, actually, it is being hailed as the greatest Stephen King film since Shawshank Redemption, which isn't that hard to do because most of the films he's had since Shawshank are pretty bad.
They're pretty bad.
I can't remember if Green Mile was before or after Shawshank, but still. It's considered one of his best films now. So
wait, was Green Mile after Shawshank?
I don't remember. And It Chapter 1 is really good. It Chapter 2 I haven't seen yet. But I don't hear good things. Yeah, that's what I hear. Anyways, Hocus Pocus 2 has officially been announced for Disney+. It will have an undefined release date for quite some time, so don't get your hopes up anytime soon. And on top of that, none of the original cast is confirmed to come back for it. So I really wouldn't get your hopes up for that. I know a lot of the three witches would like to come back. I think Sarah Jessica Parker is the only one holding out. But it would just be weird because like the original one's so special with the kids, and I don't know if I want to see all those kid actors come back as adults and they have kids or something. I don't know. So we'll see what they do with Hocus Pocus 2, but that's just one of the many dumb sequels and remakes and things that Disney's doing right now just to get people on to Disney Plus.
Okay, but Hocus Pocus 2 is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it could be really good.
Would you like to enlighten the listeners as to when the last time you saw Hocus Pocus was?
Me?
Yeah.
Probably since I was a kid.
I know, because you told me that, to which is why I'm saying we need to watch it before the end of the month.
We're watching Monster House tonight after you guys watch JoJo.
Oh.
You want to watch it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to watch Hocus Pocus 2. We got to watch that on Halloween.
Okay. For those who don't know, we had a list that I have a list every year in October of things I watch every year. They're like Halloween specials from when I was a kid. They include the Billy and Mandy Halloween special. There was another Cartoon Network Halloween special that a very specific. Oh, the Ed, Edd and Eddy Halloween special. There's other Cartoon Network Halloween specials like random episodes from like Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends and Dexter's Lab and Johnny Bravo, but I don't watch those. They're not the same to me. I watched a Sleepy Hollow special that aired on Cartoon Network for like a couple years called The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. You can find the whole thing on YouTube, fun fact. I watch both Scary Godmothers, 1 and 2, and I watch Monster House. And that's basically it. Small list.
Remember
Christmas
when,
is bigger.
Remember when Sleepy Hollow was a TV show? I do.
I never watched it. I heard it was good, though.
It was really good, and I got really sad that the funding got lost for it, and they never got around to
What, you mean
finishing.
it getting canceled?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was sad.
It never got finished.
It almost got saved, but sadly not.
When's my Sleepy Hollow Terra Nova crossover gonna happen?
Oh, Matt, stop. Fox don't operate like that, man.
I need it, okay? Stop canceling shows I actually like to watch.
Anyways, Matt, you want to watch Monster House tonight?
Yes.
Okay, we're watching Monster House tonight.
Speaking of shows I need to watch, Prison Break is one of them.
That's on my list, too. I've wanted to watch it since I was a kid.
My parents used to kick us off the TV every Wednesday night just so they could go watch Prison Break. It was the one
You
show
know
they actually cared about.
the two brothers on that were on the Arrowverse on the CW.
Yeah, you were
DC.
telling me that.
Yeah, Wentworth Miller, who was on Prison Break and played Chris Redfield in one of the Resident Evil movies, he's Captain Cold in the Arrowverse. And his brother from Prison Break is Heatwave. Mm-hmm. Granted, Captain Cold's dead in the Arrowverse now, and it's just Heatwave. But Heatwave is one of my favorite characters, and so is Captain Cold. And by the way, Legends of Tomorrow is the best Arrowverse show. But we're actually going to be talking about the Arrowverse later tonight, so don't you all worry.
This was just a taste.
Do you ever plan on watching those shows, Matt?
Oh God, there's so much stuff I need to watch.
Those are like shows you can put on in the background and be totally fine.
That's
and like
true,
play something
actually.
on your 3DS or Switch in the foreground, because like those are the kind of shows where you can skip through an episode, like scrub through it like at 5-second intervals, and you'll still understand the whole thing. Those shows, we'll get to those later tonight. Anyways, Hocus Pocus 2 is officially happening. Commercial break.
Woo!
Are you ready for more What's New Scooby-Doo songs?
What's new Scooby-Doo?
I'm coming after you.
But
That's
the
not
song
what
is
we're
mystery.
playing. Here are other muffs with saying goodbye.
I've got better things to do, better things to listen to than all your ranting and raving on me. It's all of the time now, and it's too late for you to find reality here. Now I want you out of my life. What they say is you're out of your mind. I regret the days gone by and all my alibis. It makes me want to cry. You're out of my 3, 4. Shooting at a rhythm on my bubble gum. The sun is out and I want some. It's not hard, not far to reach. We can hitch a ride to Rockaway Beach. Up on the roof, out on the street. Down in the playground, the hot concrete. Boys ride, it's too slow. The blast and the disco on the radio. Rock, rock, Rockaway Beach. Rock, rock, Rockaway Beach. Rock, rock, Rockaway Beach. We can hitch a ride to Rockaway Beach. Rock, rock, Rockaway Beach. Rock, rock, Rockaway Beach. Rock, rock, Rockaway Beach. We can hitch a ride to Rockaway Beach. It's not hard, not far to reach. We can hitch a ride to Rockaway Beach. It's not hard, not far to reach. We can hitch a ride to Rockaway Beach. Shooting rhythm on my bubble gum. The sun is out and I want some. It's not hard, not far to reach. We can hitch a ride to Rockaway Beach. Up on the roof, out on the street. Down in the playground, a hot concrete. Boys ride, it's too slow. The blast after disco on the radio. Rock, rock, Rockaway Beach. Rock, rock, Rockaway Beach. Rock, rock, Rockaway Beach. We can hitch a ride to Rockaway Beach. Rock, rock, Rockaway Beach. Rock, rock, Rockaway Beach. Rock, rock, Rockaway Beach. We can hitch a ride to Rockaway Beach. Rock, rock, Rockaway Beach. Rock, rock, Rockaway Beach. Rock, rock, Rockaway Beach. We can hitch a ride to Rockaway Beach.
Question.
We're back.
Hola.
We're back. Hello. We're back. I'm sorry. Did you miss us? Probably not. Who doesn't like the Ramones? We'll be back with more Ramones.
Right now.
No, I could, but later.
Commercial break 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Boogaloo. Instead, we got to talk about our next awful Scooby-Doo movie to
The
review.
actual worst Scooby-Doo movie
Lego
ever made.
Scooby-Doo Blowout Beach Bash. Just like the previous one, it's bad, not really well animated, meant to hop onto the Lego movie train, and it just failed. The only good part was, like its predecessor, the opening where they had a really nice reference. Although the last one did it way better. The last one being Haunted Hollywood, of course. But in Blowout Beach Bash, it actually opens with a classic episode of Scooby-Doo Where Are You?, the Mummy episode. And it starts with them unmasking the mummy to be Professor Najib, just like the original. So that was cool. And then it just evolved to them going to this pier where there's like a weird 50s beach dance opera musical sing-along film going on. It was stupid. And they dealt with like the weird teenagers having a scruff over who gets to be the king and queen of the boardwalk. And, you know, there's this couple that were in a hotel and they're evil. And it turns out there were pirates that haunted the boardwalk. And
Yar.
everyone was trying to get a piece of the boardwalk, buying out property and all that. It was dumb. There were a bunch of bad guys in the film. But the hotel owners and their 2 kids were behind it all. The kids wanted to keep their titles as the king and queen because, you know, they're weird brother and sister who probably do incest or something. I don't really know. And their mom and dad are like, we want to shut down the boardwalk because we hate it here now. And that was just stupid. They all got arrested. They're going to spend the rest of their lives in jail. Blah, blah, blah. 0 out of 10 Scooby snacks. Do you agree, Matt? Hello?
0.
Thank you.
0. 0.
I said thank you.
0.
Oh, that hurt my ears. Moving on to real media news. Real news.
Hashtag real news, not fake news. Welcome to Real News, the Real News podcast.
Yeah. Cloak and Dagger, the Marvel show that was on Freeform, the only one on Freeform, which was also fantastic, by the way, and was super underrated. Not even as like a Marvel fanboy or anything. That was like a legitimately good show. Had gorgeous cinematography. Acting was whatever. It was kind of fine. But the second season had this whole amazing arc about like them taking down a sex trafficking ring, and every episode ended with the PSA for the hotline for the sex trafficking to out anybody if you see anything. And I'm just like, wow, this is amazing. The villain was pretty cool. His name was Despair. Honestly, a really good season. And it ends with them finally deciding to leave New Orleans and become superheroes, and they're going to take down sex trafficking rings. And honestly, even though the show got canceled, that's a solid note to end off on. Not going to lie. And I'm okay with it not coming back. Especially since Cloak and Dagger will be guest starring on an episode of The Runaways' 3rd season on Hulu in December.
Wow.
So maybe the show will get picked up on Hulu. Who knows? Maybe they'll become recurring characters on the show like they were in the comics. I don't know. But I think Cloak and Dagger are fine where they are. And whether or not Kevin Feige decides to reboot them in the MCU is totally up to him. But we will have to wait and see. That's all I had to say about Cloak and Dagger. That's honestly probably another Kevin Feige cancellation, in all honesty, along with him taking over much more of Marvel Television stuff. As far as we know, the only new show by Marvel Television before Kevin Feige coming along is Hellstrom, which is still in development. For how long? Who knows? Is it going to happen? Who knows? I hope it does, because it could be very interesting.
I hope it does, too.
Even though they didn't cast any major actors in it, which is never a good sign for a Marvel show.
Well, who knows?
Who knows?
Maybe it'll be a smash hit, and then all these actors and actresses are just like, I'm a millionaire now.
I mean, perhaps? I'm not quite sure that's how that works,
There is
Matt.
a chance. Hey, man, we got to get some new blood in there.
You're right. On that note, time for our next review of actually a pretty decent Scooby-Doo film. This is, of course, in the era of way too many crossovers and stuff with Scooby-Doo movies. But the next one's fine.
I'm convinced that there was an era of Scooby-Doo where they were just like, yep, we have a dartboard, and we're going to throw darts at it and combine what we get.
We are in that era right now.
Like that is what it feels like.
So the next film is Scooby-Doo and Batman the Brave and the Bold, which is not, to me, is not a Scooby-Doo movie. It is a Batman the Brave and the Bold movie. Batman the Brave and the Bold was a fantastic animated show on air on Cartoon Network from like 2009 to 2012, something like that.
Is that the one with the really stocky-looking Batman?
Yeah, it's based off the Silver Age Batman comics where he had the blue cowl and cape. And he was much more like toned and buff.
Stoic.
And every episode would feature him teaming up with a different superhero. And the first one, I will always remember, was Blue Beetle. And so the film is in that same universe of Batman the Brave and the Bold, and it features many of the same character designs. And Scooby and Shaggy, the reason they team up is because they are invited by Batman himself to join a secret society of mystery solvers, including Batman himself. So Mystery Inc. goes to Gotham City, and when they arrive, they are greeted by the rest of the society, which include people like Plastic Man, Detective Chimp, Black Canary, The Question, I believe Martian Manhunter, and a couple others. And so they team up with these superheroes to solve the case of the Red Spectre, something like that, Crimson Spectre, who has been haunting Gotham.
Spooky.
And nobody quite knows why. So the gang end up leading through a trail of clues to the Riddler at Arkham, where they discover that he is connected to the supposed origins of the Spectre. Except Riddler knows nothing about it, so oh well. And then they leave and follow more clues until they arrive at the bar where every single one of Batman's villains are, including Joker and Penguin and many more.
It's like a gathering of Alcoholics Anonymous.
They're like, oh, Batman and Scooby-Doo? Let's kill them. So there's a really cool chase scene and like the Batmobile and Mystery Machine and stuff. It was really great. And then they get to the actual mystery where they find out Riddler actually is behind the Red Spectre. It was Riddler all along. But the reason he was doing it was because he was trying to reactivate a portal to another dimension where his long-lost scientist friend was trapped. Because that makes total sense for the Riddler to do, I guess.
I didn't know that he knew how to do that.
Apparently he does. And so that was the reason why he did it. Then when he got his scientist friend out, he's like, okay, I'm ready to go back to prison, which was actually really cool. And then Batman's like, gang, good job. You can never know my secret identity. Now get out. And they got out, and they saved the day. Scooby-Dooby-Doo and Batman saved the day. And I give this film a solid 6 out of 10 Scooby Snacks.
I give it a 7 because I love Batman and think he's better than anything Marvel's ever made.
I would agree. Batman is the best thing DC has. He's their most complicated character.
Literally favorite, not even joking. If you asked me who my favorite superhero is, it's Batman.
Spider-Man.
I love Batman.
Spider-Man is the best. To me, that is.
When's our Batman cross Spider-Man?
They met a long time ago.
I know. We need a movie for it, though. Make it official.
No, because it'll be bad because DC will get their hands on it. Anyways,
have some faith.
Speaking of people getting their hands on stuff, Disney has their hands on Star Wars right now, and their next film comes out in December for Christmas. That is Star Wars Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker, and it is already on its track to be the highest probably second highest grossing film of the year behind Endgame. Specifically, Rise of Skywalker just had their box office predictions come out due to all the pre-order sales for tickets. Excuse me, I burped on air.
Can I interject real quick before you continue with this?
Yeah.
Because there's actually something I learned about this. A couple things, but I'll do one for right now and save the other one for later.
Do it.
There has been almost proven, well, not even proven speculation. It's more or less confirmed at this point that Disney is buying out tickets for Rise of Skywalker to boost numbers.
Wow.
Because they're predicting that it's going to be low.
I mean, it'll probably
in terms of viewer count.
Yeah, I think it, because I'm shocked because the numbers that were released for the opening weekend were 185 to 225 million, which seems about right. But take that into mind that Last Jedi had a $160 million opening weekend, which is a lot of money. But the issue being that it actually performed less than they expected.
Exactly.
And Last Jedi did very well in theaters. It made over $1 billion. But to Disney, that wasn't enough. And that sucks.
And this, I've read this on more than one article from more than one person from more than one website, and it's pretty much, in my mind, confirmed that Disney is buying out their own tickets to boost sale numbers.
Oh my God, they give the tickets to their employees.
I don't even know. They probably just buy them and burn them.
Probably. But I think because they were expecting Rise of Skywalker to do worse than Last Jedi, because people did not like Last Jedi, which I still cannot comprehend because that's a great movie.
I hate it.
It's not perfect. It has a ton of issues. Don't get me wrong. I think Return Episode 7, A New Hope? No, Force Awakens. That's what it is. Force Awakens is much more put together than Last Jedi, but I think Last Jedi is better just because of all the conventions it broke and all the cool film stuff it did. So that's cool.
I've had the debate many a time with people, and I'll just say that I'm really not big on the new Star Wars movies.
Oh no, in general, they're not meant to be there.
I think the fact. The second thing I want to say is Disney actually had a leak.
Yeah.
Of the new movie.
Yeah.
I won't say spoilers on air because I accidentally said it in front of Dave, and I'm pretty sure he wants to crucify me now.
Oh, yes. Our good friend David Scrivani was cursing you out for spoiling it. I'm like, Dave, did he spoil, the whole story? He's like, no. Did he spoil the ending? No. Did he spoil the middle or beginning? No. What did he spoil? It's a really minor thing, but I would consider it a spoiler. I'm like, okay, whatever.
It was being uploaded to YouTube all of last week. And Disney had to go on a massive witch hunt to hunt down these people and get it taken down. So far, if what it is true, I think it's really stupid and really convoluted and really honestly is just, nostalgia bait. And that's pretty much all I can say without spoiling it.
Mm-hmm. Repeat that again for me, but this time spoil it.
You want me to spoil it?
I don't care.
Okay, so spoiler warning. I'll give 5 seconds. If anyone actually cares, in the photos that I've seen, Rey finds her way to Palpatine on the planet because, as you're well aware, he's in the new movie. After somehow having survived the Death Star.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point or another, Kylo Ren gets a blue lightsaber and forsakes his red, cool-looking battle longsword lightsaber, throws it into the abyss, and goes side by side with Rey to take on Palpatine.
Cool.
It's really bad.
All right.
And the only...
You know what's funny is I was telling a friend over the summer that is going to happen in the movie.
Yeah, I was hoping they do some cool thing, like where they switch and Rey becomes the bad guy and Kylo becomes the good guy. I don't know. That would have been a lot cooler than just, oh, well, now you got to fight off Palpatine. And, I don't know. And I guess his whole thing was he was pulling the strings the whole time, and Snoke was just this nobody Sith that no one really cared about. I don't even know if he was a Sith. I don't know. I grew up with Star Wars. I have like a lot of the books and stuff, and I wasn't too big on it.
I mean, that is a spoiler and whatever, but and shout out to Johnny Gifford for listening in. We love you, pal.
Hi, Johnny.
Hi, Johnny. Yeah, I told a friend over the summer, here's what's going to happen. They're going to get to Palpatine because Palpatine is for some reason alive. And at the last second, Kylo Ren's going to get rid of his lightsaber and take Rey's or something.
It's,
because I don't know what they're doing. And that's the dumbest thing of this trilogy is that it's two different directors fighting over it. Because J.J. Abrams very clearly planned out the whole thing from the get-go, and then Rian Johnson was allowed to make the second one.
Ryan ruined it. I'll say right now, Ryan is the single reason why it's bad.
Clearly had his own vision, and I think the only vision he had was that Rey didn't have parents that were important, which I completely agree with, because I think if she has parents that are important, that'd be really stupid.
If they were like, oh, you're Obi-Wan's son or daughter or
No,
something.
it's called Rise of Skywalker. They're going to make her a stupid Skywalker, or they're going to make it a misconception and say she's not actually a Skywalker and that Kylo Ren is the true hero of the story and that she's going to become bad.
That's what I mean. She just becomes the Mary Sue and second fiddle to Kylo.
I can't. Like, whatever.
Also, the name Kylo, like, what?
I don't know.
They couldn't have come up with anything, better, a little more sinister.
Kyle Reynolds.
Kyle Reynolds. That is
Kyle
already
Reynolds.
better.
That's the name right there.
Oh boy. I will say though, I did enjoy The Force Awakens. I think he, like you said, started off with a really good idea in his head and had a really decent roadmap of what he wanted to do. Rian Johnson comes in like the toddler in a daycare and just destroys his Lego castle.
Cool. Yeah.
What was that other one? Oh, what was it? It was the one that was like between 4 and 5.
4 and 5?
Yeah, the one they placed between episode 4 and episode 5.
Like a movie or a show?
Yeah, the Star Wars movie. I forget what it was called.
I have no idea.
You know how they have like an off year every year where they don't come out with a new
number
one?
I mean, the only two spin-off movies were Rogue One and...
Rogue One, that's the one.
Rogue One was in between 3 and 4.
Was it 3 and 4?
Yeah.
I thought it was 4 and 5.
No, because it literally, the end is the beginning of 4.
Oh, wait, yeah, never mind. I'm getting it confused. Okay, yeah. I actually liked that one. That one was cool.
All right. Yeah, that one was okay. It was
mainly
meant to
Vader's
fill in a
really
plot
cool.
hole. Long story short, that got sidetracked really right quick.
Man, you said we were going to not take that long on that one.
Yeah, I know.
I completely took that out.
Star Wars is expected to make a lot of money opening weekend, but who knows if it actually will. Moving on, we have another review for y'all. This one will be super quick because this one's bad.
This one's really bad.
This is probably the worst one we're reviewing tonight.
I'm actually going to be giving it a new score, but go on.
Oh, a new score.
Yeah, I'm inventing a new score for this one.
Okay, so the next one is once again a crossover film. Specifically, the special guest star on this is celebrity chef Bobby Flay, guest starring in Scooby-Doo and the Gourmet Ghost. Turns out Fred's uncle is Bobby Flay because that's totally cool. And not even like his fake uncle that's like a family friend. He is his blood uncle.
He is canonically.
So the gang drive up to New England and they go to a special like famous hotel lodge inn thing where there's a celebrity chef cook-off show going on. There's a bunch of other celebrity chefs like Giada del Guardo or whatever that Italian lady's is. The one that Bobby Flay cheated on his wife with. Fun fact. So the two of them, those
Rachel
two celebrity
Ray.
chefs, yeah, team up with Scooby and the gang to figure out the ghost who's been haunting the celebrity chefs. Because that makes sense, I guess. Sure.
There's a lot of monster-based crimes in the Scooby-Doo universe. Why don't people just rob a bank?
I don't know. So, long story short, the entire movie is the gang goofing off with Bobby Flay. Nothing actually happens. It's not a good movie. And I give it negative infinity out of 10 Scooby Snacks.
Wow, you beat me to my new score, Matt.
What was your score?
Negative infinity, not even joking.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I hated it that much, and I thought it was the stupidest waste of money and time ever.
Yeah, it was bad. That was just like...
I was going to go off on this whole thing and say we got to have a new score. Negative scores.
Yeah, that movie is just abysmal. It is terrible. Don't even show your kids, ladies and gentlemen.
Skip it.
It's just that bad.
It's going to be lost to the annals of history now.
Oh, yeah. Totes McGoats, dude. Totes McGoats.
Please don't. I haven't heard the term Totes McGoats in over 5 years.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Sure. Anyways.
Dude, can you believe 2019's almost over? The 2010s are almost done, dude.
I know, and we haven't had a good Scooby-Doo movie in quite some time. But moving on to some more news for all of you fine folks out there.
Scooby-Doo and the Santa Claus Claus.
Let's talk about more high-grossing films. Specifically, in this case, Joker. Joker has officially beat Deadpool to become the highest-grossing R-rated film
movie
ever. It has grossed over $800 million at the box office. Specifically, I believe it grossed $860 at this point.
It's very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it was an okay movie.
Well, because usually, right, so when Deadpool came out and was a thing, I used to see people doing, like, Deadpool jokes constantly. Joker comes out, we all crack jokes about it for a week, then it dies down. And meanwhile, in the sleeper state, it has somehow surpassed Deadpool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. On top of that, being the highest grossing film, R-rated film, it is also the most profitable superhero movie ever made. It had a budget of $55 million. It has now made over $800 million in profits. Of course, whenever you see budgets come out for films like Joker's is $55 million, that's typically the production budget and the pre-production budget and post-production budget. It never typically takes into account the marketing ploy strategies, and sometimes it doesn't even count pre-production and post-production.
So how much more would you tack onto that? Well, another 20 million?
I would subtract 100, to be honest, to call it like a $700 million profit.
Still, that's a lot.
Sometimes you can't really tell. Like, Avengers Endgame made over $2 billion on a $300 million budget, $400 million, something crazy like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it realistically made a lot less money because Disney kept it in theaters for so long and eventually started losing money on that, as well as the crazy amount of marketing they did and toys.
It was
in
everything. Oh, my God. Now that I'm thinking back to it, Jesus. Endgame was in literally everything.
Yeah.
It was in every movie trailer. It was sponsored by most fast food chains at one point or another.
Mm-hmm.
The marketing for that must have been nutty.
Very nutty. Anyways, it is time for our next commercial break. More What's New Scooby-Doo chase theme songs coming at your way, starting with, like I said, some more Ramones. Enjoy.
I don't wanna walk around with you. So why you wanna walk around me? I talk with myself in a long time. And sometimes I feel left out in the cold. Haven't had a talk with myself in a long, long time. The days go by and I feel like I'm getting old. Getting old. Haven't seen myself in a while. Haven't been myself in a while. Haven't seen myself in a while. Haven't been myself in a while. I wanna see myself, wanna be myself again. I got a feeling that things are not going my way. Do you feel left out in the cold? Yes I do, and I feel so strange, 'cause my life has changed. It's a whole new game to play. I got the feeling I'm on a lonely highway. Do you feel like you're all alone? Yes I do, and I just can't pretend, 'cause I'm not myself and I'm at my wit's end. And I haven't seen myself in a while. Haven't been myself in a while. Haven't seen myself in a while. Haven't been myself in a while. I gotta get back to it and find myself and be myself again. I'm going insane, I don't feel the same, and I feel like I lost a friend. And I know that I'll find myself and be myself again. And I know that I'll find myself. I don't have far to go. And I know, after all this time, the mistakes were mine. And I know, and I know, and I know, I'll be myself again. I'm gonna see myself again. Haven't seen myself in a while. Haven't been myself in a while. Haven't seen myself in a while. Haven't been myself in a while. Haven't seen myself in a while. Haven't been myself in a while. Haven't seen myself in a while. Haven't been myself in a while.
I could see you 10 or 12 times a day. I think it's best we do it your therapist way. I grow my hair long in a wavy coat, yeah. I get so lovesick, my sad thoughts float the time. You've got me running. News broke today, so we're not talking. I think it's best we do a little bit of stopping. I want a house on the beach and you in my dreams. I need water, yeah, and I love, 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 love the time. You've got me running. In time, you've got me tired. Well, I've got more for the world than this. I've got love that I need to give. Well, I've got more for the world than this. I've got love that I need to give. News broke today, so we're not talking. I think it's best we do a little bit of stopping. I want a house on the beach and you in my dreams. I need water, yeah, love, 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 love and time. You've got me running. Time, you've got me running. Time, you've got me running. Time, you've got me
I hope you all enjoyed these. You know, maybe I should be saying, like, the episodes they're from, Matt. I Don't Want to Walk Around With You, if I can remember correctly, is from the episode with the Phantom of Hollywood. Haven't Been Myself in a While, I believe, was the Putt Putt Clown, Robot Clown. And Time Running, that one I do know, is from the Mummy episode. I know some of these off the top of my head. Not all of them. Some of them I actually got to think about because they have like 3 Simple Plan songs and like 3 CIV songs and like 3 Smash Mouth songs. So it takes a hot minute.
Smash Mouth, I forgot.
Anyways, time for our second to last review. The first Scooby-Doo film to be released this year, which is part of its 50th anniversary. The 2 films released this year are pseudo-sequels to previous Scooby-Doo products. And this one is Scooby-Doo, Curse of the 13th Ghost, a direct continuation of the original show, The 13th Ghosts of Scooby-Doo.
Spoopy.
So, fun fact about that show, it never finished. The idea was that Scooby and Shaggy accidentally opened the Chest of Demons, unleashing the 13 deadliest ghosts in existence. And they have to track them down with the help of Vincent Van Gogh and a kid named Flim Flam, with Daphne and Scrappy by their side. Now, there are 13 episodes of the show, which you would think makes sense. They gotta track 13 ghosts. Except the first episode is them opening the chest and dealing with a werewolf town that is cursed by the chest because they get turned into werewolves, I guess, in the Himalayas. And then every episode after that is them catching ghosts. So that's 12 more episodes. They miscounted and forgot they needed one more for the 13th ghost, but then they were told they couldn't come back with a new budget or anything, so they were kind of canceled. All these years later, Hanna-Barbera and Warner Bros. Is like, all right, let's actually finish it. So our story opens up with the gang accidentally screwing up a mystery and claiming the wrong person is the monster. So the sheriff is like, all right, you guys can't do this anymore. You're done. You're like actually breaking the law. You're done. So they sell every bit of mystery memorabilia, including the mystery machine. And that really hits Fred pretty hard, by the way.
Which we'll come back to later.
We will come back to that later. One thing they end up finding is a crystal ball, and lo and behold, Vincent Van Gogh is trying to call Scooby, Daphne, and Shaggy. And they're like, oh, crap, not him again. Because he's like, yeah, I found the 13th ghost. He's evil. And then Fred and Daphne are like, Velma are like, guys, what happened? What did you do this time? And they're like, all right, remember all those summers ago when y'all were at summer camp? Very, very easy plot point right there, right, Matt?
Yep, very.
We actually hunted ghosts for an entire summer with Flim Flam. Who's Flim Flam? Don't worry about it. Hey, what's a Scrappy?
Don't worry about it.
And so Fred's like, oh, I was at cheerleader camp, forgive me. And Velma's like, I don't believe in ghosts. You guys are lying. And they're like, Velma, these are real ghosts. We almost died trying to catch these guys. They're evil. So they grab the old van they used in the original show, which was like a weird red van with like lightning on it. It was weird. They bring it out. Daphne makes a joke about going back to her old 90s haircut from the show, and she's like, no, why'd I ever do that? Because that was a terrible redesign of Daphne. And then Daphne gets into some cool leather and decides to become the gang leader for quite a bit. So they drive all the way out to Vincent Van Gogh's mansion, where the 13th ghost is currently haunting it, and he has stolen the Chest of Demons. Vincent Van Gogh explains that back in the early 1900s, because, he's a magician, he's immortal, him and his partner found the Chest of Demons, but they were being chased by other demons who were trying to get it back. So his partner stayed behind and sacrificed himself to stop these demons. And Vincent Van Gogh was stuck with the chest, and so he decided he had to go hide it. So Vincent Van Gogh's like, all right, guys, I know 2 of you don't believe this, but I know you 3 do, so we got to go to the Himalayas. So they fly out on a private jet, and they go to the Himalayas, they land, and Vincent, Shaggy, Scooby, and Daphne travel ahead to the temple where the Chest of Demons originated from, while Velma and Fred explore the town, where they meet Flim Flam, who is now a teenager and all grown up, except they don't know who Flim Flam is. So that's one of the dumbest plot points of the film, is that Flim Flam really doesn't do much, except that he runs a convenience store that only sells demon chest merchandise, which was pretty funny. So Flim Flam is trying to, show him the town, sell him crap, all that good jazz. And Scooby and Shaggy and the others are currently fighting the 13th ghost with their lives. And Velma's kind of losing her mind because she's like, are they telling the truth? I don't know. This town is kind of haunted. And Fred is like, I went to cheerleading camp. Because that's my character arc in this film.
Wow. Stunning and brave.
Eventually, all the gang reconvenes along with Flim Flam, and they reconvene at the temple where they must take down the 13th ghost. And Flim Flam is like, oh my god, Daphne, Shaggy, Scooby, it's so great to see you guys. And they all hug and reminisce. And he's like, hey, where's Scrappy? And Scooby just says, what's a Scrappy? What's he talking about? And I'm like, wow, you can tell these are written by people who hate Scrappy, who did absolutely nothing wrong, and people just have a terrible memory of him. I can rant about that forever because
Matt literally can. I have borne witness to it.
Yes, I explained to Matt the entire issue with Scrappy, and he understands now why he did nothing wrong. Because Scrappy was innocent.
There's a reason why Scrappy was the villain in the
because James
movies.
Gunn hates Scrappy like everyone else, and I'm like, stop. Only true Scooby-Doo fans like Scrappy, just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they take down the 13th ghost, and they prevent him from opening the chest of demons, and then turns out the 13th ghost is a fake. And it's actually Vincent Van Gogh's old partner, who is an international criminal from Interpol. And he posed as the 13th ghost and faked his disappearance because he wanted to take the chest of demons for himself and sell it for the highest bidder, but he could never find it. And then, Scooby found it, and then he's like, oh, I'll take that. And then he couldn't. And then they hit it again, and then he's like, all right, I'll just go to Vincent's house and scare him. So
makes sense to me.
Then it is revealed that the 13th ghost was actually apparently supposed to be the first and most dangerous of all the ghosts. He was apparently Vincent Van Gogh's great ancestor who practiced black magic. Turns out that was a lie, and the 13th ghost was never real, and that Vincent's ghost was actually watching over them all along. And Velma only said all that to make Vincent Van Gogh feel better. So they actually don't know if there's still a 13th ghost out there. That's not really confirmed. And then the film ends with them saying bye to Flim Flam, and then Velma's like, I wonder. And as she's about to open the chest of demons, everyone just says, no. And then she's like, oh, all right, I guess not. And then they leave.
I suppose.
Cool. Great idea, poor execution. I would have been so much better if they did the actual 13th ghost, which is an issue Scooby-Doo has nowadays where they are so scared to do real monsters and mysteries that they have to find Cuckoo for Cocoa Puff banana schemes to circumvent that. And we will get to that in our next film as well, because for some reason they don't like acknowledging that there can be real monsters, and they have dealt with real monsters. They also keep doing the thing where like Scooby and the gang have to still be in high school, even though in What's New Scooby-Doo they weren't in high school, and in some of the movies they weren't in high school. So I don't know why they're still trying to do that, which is, like I said, because of bad writing nowadays.
I love the writers. Fire all the writers. Get new talent, new writers.
Please do. I would absolutely adore that on like a really deep personal level, Matt.
Who needs an internship when you can go write for Scooby-Doo?
I do it. Anyways, it is time for our next commercial break. I know. It felt like we just came back, but what are you going to do, right? Anyways, time for More Simple Plan. I believe this song, Worst Day Ever, is from Simple Plan in the Invisible Madman episode.
Wow.
Let's get rockin' and rollin'.
The clock is ringing, I need to spend an hour snoozing, 'cause I don't think I'm gonna make it. I punch in, I'm still sleeping, watch the clock, but it's not moving, 'cause every day is never ending. I need to work, I'm always bending, and I feel like I'm living the worst day over and over again. And I feel like the summer is leaving again. I feel sun. Saturday Night Live, windows down and music on the stereo. I'm driving and I'm dreaming. There's no place I'd rather go. Play it every night with the occasional fight.
Shelter pets are amazing pets, and the only way to find out how truly amazing they are is to meet one yourself. Consider adoption. Visit theshelterpetproject.org today and adopt. Brought to you by the Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Beautiful.
Animals are great. Go get more of them.
Yeah, that's true. Actually.
Get more pets and less kids.
This is also true. All right. Moving on, we got some quick news for y'all. Obviously, as we said before, the Arrowverse is having a shift in its scheduling program. And obviously, there's a lot we can talk about the Arrowverse. But we're going to keep it short for y'all. 2 new shows are coming to the Arrowverse. For those who don't know, Arrow is ending this season, its 8th and final season, and it will be replaced by a spiritual successor called Green Arrow and the Canaries, following Oliver Queen's Daughter from the Future, which is, in my opinion, the dumbest plotline on that whole show right now, and I hate it. I basically scrubbed through it because I cannot tolerate it whatsoever. Somehow she's going to travel to the past, because that's what's apparent to me, and she's going to team up with both of the Black Canaries, being Laurel Lance and Dinah, whatever her name is, and that's the show. Cool. The other show, which is of much better interest to me, is Superman and Lois, which will spin directly out of Supergirl and hopefully replace Supergirl, because Supergirl sucks now, and it needs to get off the air. Just saying, y'all. So, no further details have been given about either of those shows, although we can expect Green Arrow and the Canaries to premiere next year in the fall television pilot season, and Superman and Lois will most likely not air next year, but could air 2 years from now when Supergirl ends, because it needs to end. Because it would be very stupid to have 2 super people shows next to each other, Supergirl and Supergirl and Superman, just saying. I got a lot of saliva in my mouth on that mouthful, just saying. Cool.
Tasty little drink.
So, time for the final review of Scoobtober. Yeah, I know. It's okay to cry, Matt. It's okay to cry. Scooby-Doo Return to Zombie Island, which came out this month, was something, to say the least. A direct sequel to both Curse of the 13th Ghost and the original Zombie Island.
It was interesting.
In this continuity, they have still lost the Mystery Machine, which is a much bigger plot point in this film than Curse of the 13th Ghost, and it features them returning to Zombie Island. Specifically, they won a rigged contest by a film producer who wanted them to go to the island so he could make a
Shaggy
movie.
won one.
Yeah.
It's like up to 3 friends and
a dog.
1 pet?
Yeah. Specifically, it was on the Elvira show, which was interesting. That was a cool cameo they did. Mm-hmm. Now, they go to the island, and it's like a fake hotel and everything. They think it's going to be great. And then later that day, they meet all the people at the hotel who work there. It's people dressed to look like the original characters from the film, and their names are like off-brand? Hello? What? What is that?
That's a emergency alert.
Was it? What? Hello?
Yeah.
That's not my computer.
No.
Hello? Hello? What was that? That was scary.
That was an emergency alert.
I didn't like that.
From the emergency broadcast
I
system.
thought it was the alarm, fire alarm.
No. I think it's because we're like a publicly owned radio station. Anytime those actually happen, they go out automatically.
All right, we're still live on air, right? Totally.
I think so. If there's a hurricane outside and like Fitchburg's gone, we'll know why that happened.
Yeah. Anyways, they're on the island and some zombies attack the gang. They even rediscover the old cat altar below the house, which is now the house from the original, which is now the hotel. And eventually they figure out that it's a movie being made about them because they capture the zombies and they're actually the people in the hotel and they're dressed up and they're all actors. And the hotel owner is actually the director and producer and writer of the film who wanted to make a balls-to-the-walls realistic re-envisioning of the original Zombie Island incident, which he read about on Velma's blog. More on that later. So the gang's like, oh, we're sorry we solved the mystery too early for you. We'll star in your movie. So they meet all their stunt double. They meet Fred's stunt double who rides a fake mystery machine, which is a monster truck. Fred falls in love with it. And they reenact the movie, and it's all fine. And then they get attacked by cat people who are not part of the movie. And they're like, oh, no, the cat people are back. So they get chased around, and they eventually go to the cat altar room where they discover that Pirate Moonscar's treasure is buried there. They use the amulet that Simone Lenoir wore from the original film, which dropped to the ground after she was turned to dust by not sucking life force out of Scooby and Shaggy. And turns out it is the key to finding the treasure, which is really stupid. So they're like, all right, instead of us digging up the treasure, let's let the cat people come and we'll capture them. And they did. And the cat people were 3 random people that worked on the film. It was kind of stupid.
No, they didn't work on the film. It was the ferryman and the 2 random people that they encountered at the start.
Yeah, they worked with the film.
They weren't on the film. That's why they got arrested by the police.
No, they were a part of the film. That's how they got to the island. The ferryman had to tell them about the curse of the zombies, and then the island people they met when they got there were like, get out.
Yeah,
They worked for the film. They just weren't on set all the time.
No. He literally even says at one point they're not part of the film, which is why the cops come in and then arrest the 3 of them. Yeah. They knew about the treasure because of Velma's blog.
Oh, whatever. Honestly,
fake fan.
I'm a fake fan. Yeah, so then there were issues because there was actually a 4th cat person, but they only caught 3. It turns out the 4th one's a real cat person, but they never explained that.
And it just is there, and then they leave.
And then they leave the island. So a lot of issues with this film. 1, doesn't need to exist. Just plain and simple.
Doesn't add anything, doesn't take anything away.
2,
it really just didn't need to happen.
It was very, very, very clearly written by people who didn't know what they were doing. 3, the internet's hating on it too much, to be honest. Like, it was an average Scooby-Doo film at best. More on that later. So, the issue I have with it is that they try to undermine the original while trying to pay homage to it, which really doesn't make sense because they explain that the reason they went to Zombie Island was because Daphne got a summer internship at the TV studio, which is not what happened in the original, because that wouldn't explain how Scooby and Shaggy worked for the TSA or how Velma owned a bookstore.
Yeah, literally.
This goes back to me saying that they're trying to keep the mystery gang in high school, which I don't agree with whatsoever. You don't have to have them grow up, but you don't have to keep them in high school either. So then they're like, oh, we went to the island, we experienced the zombies and the cat people, they were real, blah, blah, blah. And Velma has a blog that catalogs all their mysteries, and that is listed under one of the mysteries that was never solved. And they even showed that the reluctant werewolf is one of the mysteries they never solved, which was pretty nice and pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now, when they established that it's a movie and not real zombies, Velma goes crazy because then she's like, okay, well, maybe the original zombies and cat people weren't real. And the rest of the gang is like, Velma, that's one of the very rare times it was real for us. And she's like, no. And then
Science must explain it.
Yeah, and then they unmask the cat people, and she's like, all right, I solved it. Cat people, visual effects weren't real. The zombies, we were snorting way too much swamp gas, if you sniff my drift. And the rest of the gang is like, all right, we'll let her have this one. There ain't no point. And that's another issue because they've been doing that a lot lately where they can't accept the fact that real monsters are a thing in Scooby-Doo, and Velma can never acknowledge that real monsters can exist. Very, very stupid. But the film itself was a fun time. I was never disillusioned by it, I guess. Disengaged. That's a much more way of putting it. It's just average at best. It really doesn't do the original justice. And honestly, one of the cooler parts of it was that they actually redrew.
Oh yeah, the old
there was a flashback scene where they redrew some of the classic scenes from it.
Yeah.
And honestly, I could tell they upped the animation quality for those parts. But they, 1, aren't as good as the original because the original has better animation. And 2, it looks weird because the timing of it is different from the original in terms of how it's drawn and animated. But, good on them for trying. Overall, this movie is average. It really didn't need to happen. They should have known better, but they dug up that grave anyways for money.
5 out of 10.
Yeah, I give it a 6.
I'm giving it a
6
5.
out of 10. 6 out of 10.
For a 5.5.
So, yeah, honestly,
don't get me wrong. I wish they did. So I can understand why they didn't want to do another serious Zombie Island movie because the original was already serious. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, they took like a comedic approach and then just cranked that up to 11.
Yeah, it was weird. Like, I would say give it a shot because don't listen to the internet. The internet's being way too mean about it.
There's also no mystery.
No, there really isn't a mystery to this.
It's just this sequence of events that happen and the gang's like, yep.
We did it.
We're here.
Honestly, one of the better parts was the opening because it opens with Jarrett with them solving mysteries and the mystery machine is in it and it's got a cool song laid over it. And then it turns out it's just Fred reminiscing about the mystery machine and he has like a hissy fit because he's crying and he misses it and he wished he never sold it. Mm-hmm. And that was honestly really, really great opening to the film. And the opening title sequence, which is a bunch of silhouette images.
It redoes the entire old movie.
Yeah, which was actually pretty cool. But
like a synopsis.
The fact that the beginning of the film is the best part is sad. And honestly, they could have done a lot better with this, and they should really be ashamed of their writing staff because the writers now on Scooby-Doo
The beginning
are terrible.
dragged on for too long, the midsection was too short, and there was no ending.
Yeah, basically.
This Scooby-Doo movie had no ending. I don't care what anyone says. They completely left off on, okay, I can get throwing people a bone and saying, oh, but what if this guy was a cat person?
Which he was. But then they do nothing with it, and they haven't said if they're going to do another one, and if they do another Zombie Island movie, then there was no point to this at all. Oh, yeah.
And the fourth dude, the actual cat person's in the movie from the start.
Yep.
Like, when they get to the island, he's already, like, doing nefarious plans.
Which also doesn't make sense, because they can only turn into cat people at night, because they're werecats.
Yeah, and then on top of that, it's, like, very heavily hinted, at least heavy-handedly, at least to me, that he needed the amulet for something, but then never goes and does anything about it.
It also makes no sense that Simone Lenoir would hide Moonscar's treasure in
the cave.
In her religious church cave thing, and would use her amulet as a key to find it, even though she had her amulet prior to becoming a werecat. Yeah. So that's just stupid. I'm bringing my score down to a 5 as well, Matt. It's a 5 out of 10 Scooby Snacks.
I'm glad I could convince you.
You're right. Sadly, that was the last film we reviewed for Scoobtober. There's more Scoobtober news coming up, as well as one more bit of news, but it's time for our final new commercial break of songs that you haven't heard yet on Scoobtober. We got the first song is by Blackfire. It's Native American rock. It's really good. It's from the episode with the giant bald eagle, Matt. Mm-hmm. The second one is Ça Plane Bon Moi, a very famous French song that everybody's totally heard in their lifetime. It is from the episode with the gargoyle. And finally, Something's Going On by A, which is with the episode with the demon farmer, and that is one of my favorite monster designs from that show. Let's get to it.
Living out loud, tearing my eyes out, burning memories, burning out. Bring me away into the next day. Lose yourself, it's all the same. This record skips, my heart trips. You drink your conscience, fulfill your soul. No control, no control. You drink your conscience, fulfill your soul. No control, no control. Drink your conscience, fulfill your soul. Reflect the light, change your life. There are always two sides. Too many shadows, too many echoes. I can't control, feel my soul. No control, no control. Drink your conscience, fulfill your soul. No control, no control. Drink your conscience, fulfill your soul. Unless we live our own lives, unless we live our own lives, unless we live our own lives. No control, no control. Drink your conscience, fulfill your soul. No control, no control. Drink your conscience, fulfill your soul. go right, I'll go left. Sometimes we don't agree.
Bam bam, mon chasse-plage, j'ai sur mon lit à bouffer sa langue en buvant trop mon whisky. Quant à moi, peu dormi, vie débris, mais j'ai dû dormir dans la gouttière où j'ai eu un flash. En 4 couleurs. Allez hop, un matin, une louloute est venue chez moi, poupée de cellophane, cheveux chinois, un sparadrap, une gueule de bois, a bu ma bière dans un grand verre en caoutchouc, comme un indien dans son igloo. Ça plane pour moi, ça plane pour moi, ça plane pour moi, moi, ça plane pour moi. Ça plane pour moi. Allez hop, la nana, quel panard, quelle vibration de s'envoyer sur paillasson. Lit, mais ruiné, vidé, comblé. You are the king of the divan, qu'elle me dit en passant. I am the king of the divan. Ça plane pour moi. Ça plane pour moi. Ça plane pour moi, moi, ça plane pour moi. Ça plane pour moi. Allez hop, t'occupe, t'inquiète, touche pas ma planète. It's not today que le ciel me tombera sur la tête et que la colle me manquera. Ça plane pour moi. Allez hop, ma nana s'est tirée, s'est barrée, enfin c'est marre à tout casser. L'évier, le bar me laissant seul, comme un grand connard. Le pied dans le plat, ça plane pour moi. Ça plane pour moi. Ça plane pour moi, moi, ça plane pour moi. Ça plane pour moi. Ça plane pour moi. Ça plane pour moi. Ça plane pour moi.
What's going on?
We're back. That's what's going on, man. We just finished that whole glitched playlist because another song that I didn't have in there started playing for some reason. That's cool.
So, Matt,
yeah.
What we got?
One more bit of news for tonight, and then we're playing some greatest hits for y'all.
Well, I got one more thing before we do that big playlist, but hit him with the news first.
Yeah, with the news, we got Dark Army, Paul Feig's next movie. Specifically for you know who Paul Feig is, right? He made the Ghostbusters remake.
Yeah.
He's a good director. He's just been on a very on and off streak lately.
I think he's just gotten unlucky.
And that's his own fault.
Yeah.
But he pitched a movie to Universal to bring back the Dark Universe, which was started with Tom Cruise's The Mummy, that garbage movie. And then they pretty much canceled the rest of their movie plans with like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Frankenstein, Dracula.
Wait, Tom Cruise is The Mummy? You mean the newest one?
Yeah, the newest one. That was the start of the Dark Universe.
I didn't realize they had any sort of plans for a universe for that.
Yeah, because Mr. Hyde was in it, played by Russell Crowe.
Oh, that's right.
He was going to get his movie, and now he didn't. Point is, bad movie that basically killed an entire cinematic universe, probably for the best. But it's slowly coming back. One, The Invisible Man comes out next year. And they're saying it's not part of the Dark Universe, but they're probably going to switch that over now.
5 minutes before the movie drops.
Paul Feig has pitched The Dark Army, which will take place in the Dark Universe, because he's going to try to bring it back. And the Dark Army is going to be a team-up film of all the Universal monsters. He grew up watching all of them, and he believes that The Bride of Frankenstein is one of the greatest films ever made. And he wants to pay homage to it by making a team-up film. There is no other specified date or plot for it, but he said he pitched it, they loved it, and it's officially going to happen. Cool. That's all I have to say on that, because I don't think it's worth it.
Oh, well.
Because The Mummy with Tom Cruise was really, really bad. I paid money for that, Garbo.
I saw the trailers and thought it was going to be good, and then I was like, this is terrible.
Bad. So, Scoobtober.
Hold on.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, go on. Yeah, you got something.
Matt, I want to ask, as we close out Scoobtober on this blessed October month, I want to ask, and I'm sure all the listeners would like to know, after all of these movies, what are your top 3 Scooby-Doo movies that we have reviewed?
In no specific order?
In no specific order.
Zombie Island and Witch's Ghosts. I mean, those are just always going to be top 2 no matter what.
All right, so hit me with that number 3.
Number 3. Well, it's not Alien Invaders or Cyber Chase. Loch Ness would probably be a good one. Legend of the Vampire is a classic for me, but I wouldn't put it in my top 3. Same with Monster of Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't be Aloha. Wouldn't be Pirates. Wouldn't be Chill Out. Definitely not Samurai Sword. Abracadabra Do, Camp Scare, and Phanosaur I absolutely love, but I'm going to put Loch Ness in my top 3.
Mine is Zombie Island, the original.
Of course.
Followed by Abracadabra Do.
That was a great one.
Followed by Witch's Ghost.
All right, that's a great top 3.
I really liked all 3 of those and would honestly consider watching them again, even though I just saw them.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things that I'd be happy to watch again.
Those are really... Like, Scooby-Doo is one of those things where, you know, it is a franchise, it's meant for kids, but every now and then they produce a legitimately good film. Those, in my opinion, include Zombie Island and Witch's Ghost. Those are the best 2, hands down, nothing's going to top them.
Mm-hmm.
Cyber Chase and Alien Invaders get thrown in with those 2, but I wouldn't place them in that same realm. I would say they're definitely some of the better ones, though, don't worry.
I'd say Zombie Island and Witch's Ghost are like S tier, and then Cyber Chase and Alien Invaders are like A tier.
Something like that.
We had to make a tier list.
I don't know if I put them in A tier, but the point is, I put Loch Ness up there with Zombie Island and Witch's Ghost, as well as Abracadabra Do, Camp Scare, and Phanosaur.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is up to you to pick and choose. Obviously, this is just our opinions, but that's how I would put it.
Out of the 30-plus Scooby-Doo movies that got reviewed this month, I'd have to say those were my favorites.
They're good.
And probably the most memorable.
Oh, yeah. Now,
with that,
thank you all for tuning into Scoobtober. We're probably going to go over our 9 o'clock end tonight. Sorry, but we got to play you some of the greatest hits of Scooby-Doo. Not all of them, just a select few. If you're wondering where Scooby-Doo is going next year, it'll be because this year's the 50th anniversary. Next year it'll be 51. I know, crazy. The first animated Scooby-Doo film coming out direct to DVD and digital and hopefully Blu-ray, because they don't make Blu-rays anymore for some reason for Scooby-Doo, is Scooby-Doo in King Arthur's Court. Pretty self-explanatory. Either it's going to be in modern day and they deal with a mystery related to King Arthur's ghost or Merlin's ghost or something. No other information on it right now. Or they travel back in time. Either way, I know it's going to be bad. In May, on my birthday, Scoob comes out. That is the 3D animated Scooby-Doo film coming to theaters that is going to kickstart the Hanna-Barbera cinematic universe. All we know about it is that a bunch of other Hanna-Barbera characters like Captain Caveman and Blue Falcon and Dino Mud and Speed Buggy and Dick Dastardly are all going to be in it, and the film is about them stopping Dick Dastardly from destroying the world or something like that. Cool, I guess. I really need it to be good. I have faith. The Scooby design is absolutely fantastic and perfect, and Shaggy's new design is pretty good too. If you go online, you'll probably find leaked photos of Velma and Fred's redesigns. I don't know if those are real or not. The Velma one is okay, but the Fred one is really bad, so hopefully they're not real. But of course, these are also just still photos of their upper torsos and heads, so who knows. On top of that, we know that Scooby-Doo and Kiss, The Rock and Roll Mystery, is getting a sequel, sadly, because that one is just bad. Hopefully the second one's better. That will most likely be coming out next year because that film was leaked and announced by Gene Simmons like 2 or 3 years ago, so it's been in development hell for quite some time. Otherwise, no other big Scooby-Doo information for next year. If you want to watch Scooby-Doo on television, there are probably reruns of it out there. If you have the Boomerang streaming service, you can watch it on there or buy DVDs and Blu-rays of these shows and films. And the current show is Scooby-Doo and Guess Who, where each episode they have a different guest star. It's pretty good so far. It pays homage to the new Scooby-Doo movies. I would highly recommend it. Otherwise, let's play some greatest hits. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll be back for our final goodbyes later. Here we go. This is the greatest thing I've ever done on this radio show in my college career.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Here we go.
What's a Scooby-Doo coming after you? You're gonna solve that mystery. I see a Scooby-Doo. The trail leads back to you. What's the Scooby-Doo? What's the Scooby-Doo? We're gonna follow you. We're gonna solve that mystery. We see a Scooby-Doo. We're coming after you. What's the Scooby-Doo? Don't look back. You may find another clue. The Scooby snack will be waiting here for you. What's the Scooby-Doo? They're coming after you. You're gonna solve that mystery. I see a Scooby-Doo. The trail leads back to you. What's the Scooby-Doo? Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. What's the Scooby-Doo?
You hear the screeching of an owl. You hear the wind begin to howl. You know there's zombies on the ground, and it's terror time again. They've got you running through the night. It's terror time again, and you just might die of fright. It's a terrifying time. You hear the beating of your heart. You know the scream is gonna start. Here comes a really scary part, and it's terror time again. They've got you running through the night. It's terror time again, and you just might die of fright. It's a terrifying time. All the trees begin to moan, and the monsters grunt and groan. Rotting faces full of slime. Don't you know it's terror time? And it's terror time again. They've got you running through the night. It's terror time again, and you just might die of fright. It's a terrifying time. All the trees begin to moan, and the monsters grunt and groan. Rotting faces full of slime. Don't you know it's terror time? And it's terror time again. They've got you running through the night. It's terror time again, and you just might die of fright. It's a terrifying time.
I'm gonna cast a spell on you. You're gonna do what I want you to. Mix it up here in my little bowl. Say a few words and you lose control. I'm a hex girl, and I'm gonna put a spell on you. I'm gonna put a spell on you. I'm a hex girl, and I'm gonna put a spell on you. Put a spell on you. You'll feel the fog as I cloud your mind. You'll get dizzy when I make the sign. You'll wake up in the dead of night, missing me when I'm out of sight. I'm a hex girl, and I'm gonna put a spell on you. I'm gonna put a spell on you. I'm a hex girl, and I'm gonna put a spell on you. Oh yeah. With this little cobweb potion, you'll fall into dark devotion. If you ever lose affection, I can change your whole direction. I'm a hex girl, and I'm gonna put a spell on you. I'm gonna put a spell on you. I'm a hex girl, and I'm gonna put a spell on you. We're gonna put a spell on all of you. Earth, wind, fire, and air. We may look bad, but we don't care. We ride the wind, we feel the fire. To love the earth is our one desire. To love the earth is our one desire. Love the earth is only fair. It's one big earth that we must share. We love the earth with all our fire. It's in our souls, our one desire. Earth, wind, fire, and air. We may look bad, but we don't care. We ride the wind, we feel the fire. To love the earth is our one desire. To love the earth is our one desire. Nature is a precious gift. It will make your spirits lift. Love the earth with all your fire. It's in your soul, your one desire. Earth, wind, fire, and air. We may look bad, but we don't care. We ride the wind, we feel the fire. To love the earth is our one desire. To love the earth is our one desire.
I met by chance a girl in bell-bottom pants, and she likes to say,
Groovy.
she came out of the blue, and in an instant I knew everything would be groovy. For her I'd climb a mountain, swim the deepest ocean. I'd even help her shopping, that's the depth of my devotion. It will be a dream come true. She's even got a doggy for Scooby-Doo. How groovy, just us two, so groovy. spend all our time, every single last dime, at the best food courts. Ruby, her smile so bright it lights up my romantic feelings. And best of all, she's so tall, like I won't have to reach for high things. And even when I'm chasing ghosts, I'll quit in time for dinner, 6 o'clock at the most. How groovy, just us two, so groovy. Oh, forget Scooby-Doo. Groovy, our love will never be blue. She'll cook me all my favorites, 6 or 7 helpings. And when it comes to say I do, we'll have a tie-dye wedding. Our house will be so very fine. We'll fill it up with stuff from 1969. How groovy, just us two, so groovy. And Shaggy Jr. too. Groovy, and maybe some baby dogs too. Oh. How groovy, groovy, so groovy, groovy. How groovy, groovy, how
When you take a look behind you, what do you see? You've been hanging on to something that's really just enough, it seems to me. So tell me, have you found life's going round and around, and climbing your way to the top can't bring you down. When it all falls apart, you gotta keep it together. Wherever you go, I'll be there by your side. I want you to know that we're brothers forever. If the bottom drops out, we'll hang on for the ride. Castles may stand, but they don't last forever. Save what you can, let the rest of it slide. Hang on to your friends and you'll get through whatever. Soon you'll be coming out the other side. Everybody's running, thinking they could just be hide and seek. Open your eyes and realize this life is just a crazy mystery. So how can you have any fun? The trouble's got you out on the run, and this world feels like a monster razor tongue. When it all falls apart, we gotta keep it together. Running ahead with the trouble behind. Never will part, cause we're stronger than ever. And if we get caught, we'll both hold the line. When it all falls apart, we gotta keep it together. Fighting for all of the things we believe. I want you to know that we're brothers forever. When it comes to the end, we'll live brave and free.
Earth, wind, fire, and air. We look bad, but we don't care. We ride the wind and we feel the fire. To love the earth, our one desire. Our one desire. Earth, wind, fire, and air. What's happening?
What's happening is that's the end of Scoobtober, everybody. It has been an amazing time. We thank you so much for tuning in. And now it's time for us to say goodbye. Say goodbye, Matt.
I would like to extend a very, very well-deserved and heartfelt thank you to all of our listeners here from Sidereel and WXPL for tuning in to Scoobtober this month of October.
If there's anything you should be leaving Scoobtober with, it's the go watch Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated because it's really, really good.
Exactly.
It's ridiculously good. Please go watch it.
Thank you, listeners. And this has been Scoobtober.
Right here on Sidereel, right here on WXPL 91.3 Fitchburg State Radio. We'll be back next week with your regularly
scheduled
programming. Yes. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
And please, go watch Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated. There's nothing stopping you. Like, honestly, can't even stress that enough. God dang.
Take it easy, folks.